hot room to try and get back to it. But I'm interested to know how you first encountered the blues. Was it really the primitive stuff, or did you start with the Rolling Stones and go backwards?
No, I think my first recollections was probably seen on black and white steam-powered TV, was seeing Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee. I think that's probably when I first actually really recognised what I was listening to and seeing. And then beyond there, there's a few other bumps that I encountered, people like Ry Cooder, and when I was at college, I think that another thing was hearing, first time I heard Howlin' Wolf. A friend of mine had got some compilation CD, and there's How Many More Years. And I sort of think, what is that? I've got to get me some of that.
Well, Wolf would work for anybody. How old were you when you first encountered the blues?
I mean, it must have been probably about, I think it must be at 10 or 11 watching that sort of stuff on the box, I think. And then I'd sort of, well, I don't know if I was musical, but you know, I got the usual thing you get at school, they shove a violin in your mitt, and you learn to saw away on them. And I'm left-handed, by the way, but I play guitar right-handed, and I think it's one of those things, you taught to play the fiddle right-handed, so there's no left-handed fiddle players because you poke one another's eyes out. And so I sort of played fiddle, then I learned the mandolin and started playing in folk clubs, which is a great way of, should we say this, underage drinking. You can get the concert room upstairs in the George in Barnsley, and then of course with that there's one of the local singers, still knocking back, Dave Burland, great guitar player and singer in the English tradition, but I heard him playing blues on acoustic guitar, and again thinking, this is fantastic stuff. So yeah, I've probably been about 12, 13 listening to that sort of stuff.
So when did you first dabble about actually playing blues?
Well, I suppose, yeah, probably about that sort of age, 14, because I think I must have got I made a mandolin out of a gate post and some plywood when I was about 13, and then I got a guitar because it was a bit cool. But yeah, I must have been I sort of played folk music mainly, because I didn't have it down for the sort of blues stuff, so I never really settled to it. I was always like hovering in the background or subcurrent all the time. But then, played a little bit of that when I went to college. And I was at that time when it was punk. And so, and it's just full of that raw energy. There's a lot of blues in punk. Yeah. So yeah, that's when I really started playing the guitar. But yeah, you never do press your own record, the Peel show and all the rest of it. So
what inspired you to make the mandolin rather than nip one?
Purely from hunger, as they say. I couldn't afford to buy one.
It's quite prophetic, really, considering what you do now.
Yeah, but I mean, it's always been like that, I think, because I fancied a mandolin, and so I don't know if I'll be able to play one. So we had a bit of plywood lying around. It was come from a jigsaw factory, so they're really thin stuff. And there's an offcut from a gate post that my dad had put in, which had to be hardwood. I went to the local music store and they managed to source me some machine heads and some strings. And my dad's always been very handy, because his trade really was an electrical fitter, but he was always very handy with metal work and woodwork. So I had tools in the shed. I could tinker about it, and I made myself a man. I still got it, still plays. But yeah, it was purely from I couldn't afford it. Likewise, I made my first electric guitar at the woodwork shop at school. Those were the days when, health and safety. I did it in the lunchtime, and the woodwork teacher would sort of say, "Wormald, here's the keys to the woodwork shop. Don't use the bandsaw." That was the health and safety instructions. And I made myself an electric guitar when I was at school.
Were you playing rock on it and punk on it, I guess?
Yeah, it was really the sort of rock sort of stuff, and then I used it in the punk band, and I made a few guitars for other people on the scene.
Prophetic, yeah.
Yeah, in terms of making, but again, I made it because I couldn't really afford how hard can it be? It's two pieces of wood and a sort of stick and a slab of wood, which an electric guitar is. It's a bit more sophisticated than that, I know, but I thought...
A whole generation of primitive black blues guitar players in the 1910s and 1920s, they had exactly the same thought process.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, and I've always done that with guitar. I didn't stay away from music for years. I sort of, since being at college, we had the band, I dipped in a few rows. We knocked around with, it was that Moseley scene where, first gig we did was supporting Dexys and Midnight Runners, second gig was the Beat, then UB40. So we're in that sort of crowd of people, and then I got a job. Got a job, got married, had kids, ran my own business, so I stopped doing that sort of stuff for quite a long time, and then you get that scratch, that itch that won't go away, and so I got my old acoustic guitar out, started doing open mics and folk clubs, and immediately I was playing because in the meantime I've been noodling on the guitar. I was playing blues because I'd fallen into that sort of thing. So I'd go to a folk club, but I wouldn't play folk music, I'd play blues, and it always seemed to go down, it always goes down, acoustic blues. There was that thing of, I thought, can I afford a nice guitar now? I've got a bob or two running my own business. I thought, buy Martin or a Gibson, and then I thought, all these blues players I've been listening to didn't have fancy guitars. They had the whatever they could lay their hands on. The cheap Sears catalogue guitar, 25 cents down and 50 cents a month or whatever. And did a little bit of research. You see pictures that say Robert Johnson's got this, didn't know what the guitar was, it was a Gibson, but it could have been so many of these things as studio props. You see a lot of the blues musicians with a guitar and thinking, I bet you never played that. So who knows, but I think a lot of them would have just had whatever the cheap guitar. But you see people like Lightning Hopkins with an old Harmony, a fair guitar, but nothing at all fancy. A lot of the old players would use these cheap guitars, and that's what I got into. I started importing the old ones from the States, doing them up.
Old guitars?
Yeah, like the old Harmonies and Stellars.
So how do you, living in Moseley, locate available second-hand guitars in the States?
The wonder of eBay.
Oh.
That's just revolutionised it, because when I started listening to music again, and I started listening to people I'd heard of, like Sonny Terry McGee and Robert Johnson. I knew the name, but I'd not listened, and so you go down to Virgin, you could buy the collected works of Robert, 2 CDs for $2.99 or something crazy.
Fantastic.
And I started listening to all these people, Son House and Lightning Hopkins, Blind Lemon Jefferson.
Are these your influences?
Well, they were the people who I really started listening to again. And when I think of blues, it's a bit of a cliche, you start with Robert Johnson, but there's a lot of other things like some things that may be more difficult to listen to, like Son House. If you get the complete works of Son House, it's hard work sitting down and listening to every single thing that we recorded. But it was stuff like that grabbed me rather than the electric blues. When I was at college, there was there's that circuit. I heard the name the other day, Vinegar Joe, Elkie Brooks, and they were one of the bands that I saw when I was at college. Babe Ruth, Vinegar Joe, all these people who were on. Sorry?
Which college?
I was at Birmingham School of Architecture. I was at the.
That's very respectable.
Well, I know. Well, that's what
What was your business?
I was an architect.
Get out.
Nothing's fallen down yet. Yeah, that's what I did. I trained as an architect. I studied in Birmingham, and in fact, we were at Gloucester Green when it was a weird thing, because before I think you used to get your degree you studied at Birmingham Polytechnic, and got your degree from Aston University, and I think it was the first year where the Polly got their own degree. So yeah, I was an architect, and I worked for a few years with a big firm, very local to here actually. Just didn't get on with the big boss man. I mean, that was a
Jimmy Reed.
yeah, that was the thing. You'd be there, sort of doing your bit, drawing chimneys for 6 weeks or whatever, and scratching it out with a razor blade on the old tracing paper. And the bosses would be there with their rollers. On high days and holidays, the boss used to come in either his E-Type Jag or his 1927 Rolls-Royce Lamborghini. There wasn't much chance of promotion. So I went to work for a little firm, didn't get on with it, and I just went off on my own. Somebody sort of said, can you build me a warehouse? And I did, and I did that for quite a long time, just running my own business, but it's terribly hard work. And I started making guitars just to keep myself sane, I think.
How do you sell them?
Well, I started doing this thing of importing these old Stellas and Harmonies, doing them up. And I played at the folk club, and somebody said, "Oh, that's a great little guitar. What is it? Would you like one?" And I saw some for did it up, sold it, and then it was this hearing about the cigar box guitar thing, because I've got into this cheap guitar thing. I'm not buying a Martin. I'm just going to buy a $20 Harmony, do it up, sell it, and it's a lot cooler than having a fancy guitar. Much cooler. eBay. I was buying and selling stuff on eBay. You have two identities: one where you buy stuff, and another identity where you sell it. So nobody knows you're selling something at 200 quid that you bought for 20 quid.
So you used two names, which leads me to a very important,
yes.
to a really important question.
Yes.
You obviously weren't born Chickenbone John. So what did your mother?
To Mr. and Mrs. Chickenbone, sorry.
So your mother actually chose the name to go with Chickenbone John.
Well, the thing is, I've been playing this at blues a bit, and in so many of the old places had such colourful names, and there's a couple of people that I since went on to support. A couple of people, Watermelon Slim. I had the honour to open for him and play in Birmingham, and Catfish Keith. And there's all these entertaining names, and I thought, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to have myself an entertaining name. But I couldn't think of anything. I couldn't fabricate it, and nobody's going to call me anything because I was a nobody. But I found it. By the time we moved to Bearwood, and I was walking up St Mary's Road by the church. It was bin day, and somebody thrown out a guitar. With the and this was at the time when I'd started. I was making cigar box guitars because I was perennially going around skips, hawking out pieces of furniture. It's a nicely seasoned piece of beech or mahogany from somebody's old wardrobe, ideal for making a guitar at zero cost. And I found this old cheap guitar, I think it was a K guitar bin. I thought, I can use that. Took it home. I thought, I'll take it. I'll see what I can do with it. And opened it up, took the front of it, and it was just full of fried chicken dinner and chicken bones. So I thought, there's the name, Chickenbone John, and it sort of stuck.
So, why were these chicken bones? Why were they called John?
So that was that.
So how did you stumble across cigar box guitars as such?
Again, it's the wonder of the steam-powered interweb. I'm trying to, by which time I'd started playing a little bit, just doing sort of blues clubs and jazz clubs and stuff like that. And I think I'd heard what I thought was an apocryphal story that both, I think it said both B.B. King and Lightning Hopkins had made their first guitars out of a piece of broom handle, cigar box, some wire off a cotton bale, and you think, lovely folkloric story, but it's just, nah. So I've never really paid much attention to that. And then this guy in America, a guy called Shane Spiel, started a website. He discovered some article from Young Men's Practical Mechanics from the 1890s or whatever, make a banjo from a cigar box and a plank of wood. And he said, it works, guys. And I thought, I'll give it a go. And by that time there's a few things, how to make, stick of wood, box, some guitar string. Gave it a go. Went into the local tobacconist, Hollingsworth in Birmingham on Great Western Arcade. Got a stick of wood out of the garage. Got some more guitar strings. I didn't fret it because by that time I was influenced of Raikou, the Sunhouse. I was playing my guitar in an open tuning, so didn't need frets. Bit of broken glass for a bottleneck. By Jove, it worked. And so the myth that these people had, that Lightning Hopkins had made his own guitar, perhaps wasn't an apocryphal story, perhaps it was true. And the wonder of the internet thing, it just spreads like wildfire. And people found postcards and photos of, indeed, sort of old minstrel show type things, and then people in the trenches with cigar box violins and banjos. It's the internet. It's just amazing.
So going back to the primitive blues players, before the sophistication of the cigar box guitar came along, people were playing diddly bow, weren't they?
Yeah.
Tell us about what is a diddly. Most people can make this word up as bow diddly. Bow took his name from a diddly bow, and you're going to tell us what is a diddly bow.
The diddly bow is generally it is a monochord instrument, a one-string instrument. And originally, it was simply a matter of nailing a piece of wire, like a piece of baling wire or a piece of fencing wire, to the side of a shack. You just wedge in a couple of bottles or a couple of rocks to tension it, and then you pluck it or hit it with a stick and slide a bottle on it, and you've got this enormous bass slide guitar that makes the shed reverberate. And then people would do the same thing by putting it on a broomstick and a cigar box or a box that had 2 or 3 bottles of whiskey in, and you've got a diddly bow. Interestingly, last year I went to WOMAD, and to my shame I can't remember the guy's name, but there's an African player, had got it was like about 3 meters long, but it's a piece of tree branch on a big tin with a skin on it, one string, hitting it with a drumstick and playing it with a bottle. And that was exactly the same thing that come from Malawi or whatever.
So wouldn't that be the first blues instrument, you think?
Well, I mean, it really is the most primitive stringed instrument that you can get. One string, and I'm sure it probably was in all sort of cultures. The thing about the cigar box guitar, because generally I only use 3 strings, because you can make a simple chord, but its roots really are in the banjo, which is an archetypal African instrument. We know today most people think the banjo is bluegrass sort of thing, but if you go back to its roots, it's an African folk instrument. And that was open tuned, so you didn't need to be a skilled musician. You could just put one finger and you get a harmony out of it. That's the beauty of this. And since I got into this, I got a bit musicologist on this, but you look at other cultures. There's the Japanese samishen, 3-string fretless instrument with the same tuning. Turkish saz, although it's got 7 strings, they're arranged in 3 sets. There's the balalaika, Russian balalaika, 3 strings, slightly different tuning. The Moroccan Guembri, 3 strings. It's a common thing amongst folk and primitive music. The more you look at it, I think we're so now ignorant in the West with modern music and modern instruments. We don't look to these roots. It's great going. I love playing it because technique-wise, you don't need to. Anybody can make a sound with a put on one string.
Can I go back to how I use the word in inverted commas, I first encountered Chickenbone John. several years ago at the Jazz Festival, so I wanted to bring over a really fine, I hope you agree, Keeneland style American guitar player called Brooks Williams, who played here a few weeks ago. He's playing here in a few weeks' time. And that second or third time we booked him, he did the last 3 numbers in his set on a cigar box guitar. I was knocked out, but here's a sophisticated player like Brooks, goes right back to the primitive roots, and I congratulated him on his set. And I said, it's so great, it's so little company in America, he's actually still making cigar box guitars. He said, yes, you're probably right, he said, but this one was made by a bloke in Smithy. That was him.
Yeah.
So tell us about your thriving business. How many guitars do you make an hour, a minute, a year?
Well, in a year, we make 200 or 300 usually. I run the business with one of my daughters. So together we make about, I say, between 200 and 300 guitars a year, which is quite a lot, I suppose. But we do other stuff as well. We because of that, it's become a big hobby. So we supply everything. If you want to make a guitar, you go on our website. You can buy everything, every nut and bolt, pickup strings, and all the rest of it. Yeah, we make them in batches. We don't do like production line. It's still all handcrafted. We have a few machines like bandsaw and that, but there's no computer. If you can't fix it with a hammer, it's no use to me. So no CNCing, and we hand carve all our necks with a spoke, proper old-fashioned spoke shave. Yeah, so at the moment, I said I have to hair off after this to go back and just finish up a few guitars, because I said we're doing Glastonbury soon, and we have to get 100 guitars ready for that, which is a lot.
These aren't just things you make and sell. You must feel a bit more emotionally close to them. Do you keep a record of where they go? You number them or anything?
Yeah, they're all numbered. We're into, I don't know, about 1,000, mid 1540s, or yeah, they're all numbered, and I'll know where they've all gone with our customer records. So yeah, it's amazing where they go. Iceland, South Africa. It's just amazing. A lot to Scandinavia of late. A lot to Scandinavia.
You told me a wonderful couple of guys, Finnish guys, I think,
yes,
who adopted what they thought were authentic Black Mississippi blues names. What were those names?
It's Black River Bluesman, because he lives on the Finnish Black River. It's called the Black River in Finland. So he calls himself Black River Bluesman, and get this, Bad Mood Hudson. Bad Mood Hudson. He's got the look of Genghis Khan about it. It's like shaved head with a top knot, and he's a drummer, and Yuka, the other guy, is a guitarist, and he plays really mad heavy metal on a cigar box guitar, which is made in by Johnny Lowe in America. Oh, they're absolutely nutters, and they're very deadpan as well. Because I remember we did a show in Manchester, and they do this. They're so deadpan, and they're just, oh yes, when we perform, we wear the traditional Finnish fisherman's outfits. And he'd been saying this to Becky from Babajack, and she said, "Oh, John, yeah, they go on in traditional Finnish." And I'd seen these guys. They go in these Las Vegas style suits, black tailored suits with brocade lapels and satin shirts and snakeskin boots. As obviously we went in traditional Finnish fisherman's outfits. But totally.
So where on earth, bearing in mind the diminishing market, do you find all these guitar boxes from?
Well,
cigar boxes.
Cigar box. Yeah, we still go into the tobacconists, but then
you're crazy. When you go and ask for some dirty old cigar box.
But they'll sell them to you. I mean, the price goes up. I mean, they've always been popular for like little jewellery boxes and so forth. But it's become such a big hobby now. I find it difficult to get hold of them. So there's a few tobacconists I know. a lot we import from the States. Somebody we know, they run a cigar company. What they'll do is they'll sell their guitars to country clubs and golf clubs. And of course, establishments like that, they won't be sold by the box. They'll be wrapped up behind the bar. You know, you come in and I'll have a Glenfiddich and I'll take one of those. So the boxers just come into the country club and get thrown into the storeroom, and they'll come back every month or so, collect all the empties and sell them to a sucker like me. So I'm importing boxes of like 30, 40, 50 empty cigar boxes into the UK, paying duty on them. I will have what? Yes, paying duty on them, because we just get through so many of them.
1,500 so far. It sounds really solid. Guitar boxes.
Yeah. I can't afford to smoke the cigars myself, so I have to rely on other people on the empty boxes.
No.
We use anything that will resonate. Or use a tin can or whatever.
Well, Chickenbone John's, I've heard you sing and play guitar, and it's tremendous stuff. But you also have varying numbers of strings on your guitars that you play, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I started playing a regular 6-string guitar, and then through listening to people like Sunhouse and Raikkonen, realising you could put them in an open tuning and play it with a slide, a piece of broken bottle on your finger, but stripping it right the way down. My favourite is the 3-string guitar, because you only need 3 notes for a chord, and indeed that 3 strings is only 2 notes. It's a G-D-G, which rock guitarists will call a power chord, which gives it this big fat full sound. You can play 1 string as well. You have to just be a bit, either imaginative or, like me, just use brute force and ignorance, which is my technique for playing. And then some people use 4 strings. I will occasionally play 4 strings, which gives you a more Robert Johnson, Rolling Stones, Keith Richards sort of type sound. I've not made 2-string guitars. Some people make 2-string guitars. I've made 5-string banjos. So there's no. The great thing is there's no rules about it. You just make, and when I make a guitar, we make something. It turns out like I want it to turn out. There's no set idea.
So the way you talk, it sounds like there's a whole cigar box guitar movement.
There's it's a little subculture that
I thought we were the only one in the world.
No, I mean, it started in America. I said through this guy called Shane Spiel, who, I mean, it's quite amusing that he called himself the king of the cigar box guitar, because there's nobody else to take the title. So he said, why the hell not? I mean, and that's where the whole thing really originated from. From Africa through the slave trade into the States, and then it sort of lay dormant. It was always a poor man's, something to be despised, really. But then I think with the whole, these days you can buy fantastic cheap guitar for £100 or £100, but they tend to be a bit cookie cutter all the same. And it's this discovering that I can play the music I want on something I've made, and you have this connection, and Shane was really great about communicating that, and other people saw, even if they're not great musicians, they're making their own music with their own instrument they made with their own hands, and it spread. So I mean, I'm trying to remember, it's several years ago, we actually have run a cigar box guitar festival in the UK. Usually it's always been in Birmingham or Smethwick, apart from one year we took it to Manchester. But then there's several in America, there's a couple in France, there's a wonderful one in a 1-horse town near Heidelberg in Germany. And that's complete, it's a wonderful event. I mean, they have the local umpire band, there's a Sunday service in the street with the local Catholic priest, and concerts and a bar. It's just weird how it's just spread. It's the sheer joy of the whole thing, which is making it fun, making music fun again.
Chickenbone John also does a make and play session. Where you come along and he shows you how to build it, and you end up playing it.
Yeah, we have a day session running from like mid-morning till tea time. Really simple 3-string fretless guitar. We sort of like provide a kit of parts, string the thing together, have lunch, And at the end of the afternoon, you learn how to play it. And it's so simple. Yeah, anybody can play. If you've got one finger on each hand, in fact, actually, I just sent up a guitar to a guy today who actually doesn't have fingers on one hand. And he's going to play, I think he's going to play lap style. And he said, "I'll send me a slide, I'll get a prosthetic hand." And he's going to play slide guitar. But I think it's fantastic that this guy wants to play music, and somehow I've managed to be able to enable him to play an instrument where he's just given up on the idea.
That's brilliant. Well, 2 weeks tonight, was it 11th of June maybe?
Yes.
Chickenbone John is going to be playing upstairs, going to do the first set upstairs, and I hope you come along and listen to these tremendous actors so many times. It's really stunning what he does. Next week we've got another blues talker. You'll all turn up for that in your multitudes. First of all, thanks very much, Chickenbone John. Very nice.
Thank you very much.